Sierra Vista Community Theater is proud to recognize June as Men's Mental Health Month. We would like to share some facts about men, mental health, and mental illnesses.
More than 4 times as many men as women die by suicide in the U.S. In 2010, a total of 38,364 Americans died by suicide. 80% of these suicides were men.
The highest suicide rate in the U.S. are found in Caucasian men over the age of 85.
Gay and bisexual men are more likely to develop mental health disorders than heterosexual men. Gay males are at an increased risk for suicide attempts, especially before the age of 25.
Male suicides have been on the rise since the year 2000. Suicide is the 7th leading cause of death among males.
Risk factors including social isolation, substance abuse, unemployment, military-related trauma, genetic predisposition, and other mood disorders put individuals at higher risk for suicide.
If you think you or a loved one may be experiencing signs of mental health illness, visit www.mhascreening.org to take a free, quick, and confidential screen for depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety, PTSD, and/or alcohol or substance use problems.
Ever since middle school, I've suffered with depression, and I'm sure other mental disorders, but depression has been one of the biggest ones. And you don't always think the people who have depression, you always think of the saddest people that walk around, but sometimes it's the happiest. And so I've fought with that ever since middle school, and I've learned to deal with it when it comes my way from day to day, and I've powered through it and not let it define myself.
I went to military school right out of high school, and I was about 17, 18 years old, and I was an officer, a cadet officer at the military school. This was in Alabama, deep South Alabama, and there was a young man there, just a really nice kid. His name was David, and he was in my company. We were the band company, and it was a lot of fun. But this poor kid got picked on a lot, and one night the bullies in question forced him to strip naked and walk across the quad, which is the big central area of our campus, and go report to the commandant's office. When we got released for a holiday, David rode a bus home. The bus arrived and David wasn't on the bus. Parents got worried and started backtracking what had happened, and apparently David had gotten off the bus at one of the stops, gone into the bathroom, pulled out a gun, and killed himself. This boy was maybe 12 years old. He was the age my son is right now. And every time I think back to that moment, I remember the look of shock on everybody's faces and how all the condolences poured out and all these other things happened. But then I remember what happened before, when people were saying things to him like, be a man, don't show emotion, don't show weakness. And I realized at that point that it wasn't a mental illness that took David. It was the reaction to the world around him that forced him into a situation he didn't feel he could get out of. So while mental illness, I think, is a major player in suicides, another major player in suicides is how we treat our young men. I think it's important for us to remember that, important for us to remember kids like David.
So I went to high school with a young man by the name of Andrew Wood. He would have been 39 this year. However, in 2012, he decided to take his life after a night of heavy drinking and being maliciously attacked on the internet. And his entire life, we always thought A. Wood was a little off, but no one said anything. And and I think that it would have, if we would not have just kind of brushed under the rug his feelings, the fact that he was feeling the way he was, then he would still be with us today. And When I watch our high school version of Working, he's in there, and time just kind of stops for me, because that was the last time I really was a friend to him, and he was a good man. I just think he had a lot going on that he felt he couldn't talk about, but he should have been able to.
So about a year and a half, maybe closer to 2 years ago, I became a survivor of sexual assault. It was probably the most horrible thing, I think, would be the easiest way to describe it, that somebody could go through. I got very close to committing suicide. It was extremely close, and ultimately the thing that stopped me from doing it was getting involved in the performance arts. It's something that's been able to help me deal with and grieve with what's happening. It's still something I struggle with now, but it's certainly easier to cope with.
One is going to make a judgment, permanent judgment about you on that assessment. I've had it happen, you know. For me, it has been a struggle. I think my first major depressive episode was when I was 12. The first time, and then it went to bipolar. I'm more dangerous when I'm manic than I am when I'm depressed. I may have the thought, I may create the plan, I may anticipate. I'm more likely to execute that plan when I'm in a manic episode. You know, but there were so many things that actually helped. I was lucky enough to make a really good friend when I was 10 years old. And I still know the guy. We're still together as friends. And he actually said to me when we were 14, he says, if I ever find out that you tried this again, don't worry about killing yourself. And he meant it. He meant every word of it. And that made a difference. And then, you know, one of the things that really got me out of that was a deep love of this craft. It became my kind of savant salvation. There's this line in King Lear that helped me. It's after Lear's daughter has tried to help him retake the throne, and they've lost the battle, and Gloucester just wants to die. And his son Edgar says to him, "You must be patient. Men must endure their coming hence, even as they do their going thither." And Gloucester ends the scene with just a simple statement. And that's true too. And I think for me, one of the things that I think matters most is that we can acknowledge, okay, yes, you're in these thoughts again, you're in this place again, you're allowed to be in this place, but realize you can go through it. There's no over it. By the way, anyone that ever tells you get over something, fuck them. Fuck them. You don't get over it. You go through it. You go through whatever that crucible is, whatever that smelting process is that melts away those pieces of you. And yes, you don't come out whole, but you come out different. And I guess that would be the one message I would have to anyone that's seriously in this place is sustain, reach out, and there's a good chance that maybe someone will reject you, but there's a better chance that they won't. And they may not understand, but at least they can hear you. I think that's one of the things that we find ourselves in circles the most, is we feel trapped because we don't feel heard. Anyway, that's all I got.
I'd also like to invite you to an event happening in Sierra Vista, which is Walk With Us to Prevent Suicide. You can register today. The event is Saturday, October 28th, 2023 at Veterans Memorial Park. You can register at afsp.org/Sierra Vista.